What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Endless Endeavor podcast. Today, we're going to do a Q&A session. We haven't done one of these in a long time, and I put that out on my Instagram stories and said, submit questions for the podcast, and I got a ton of responses. So that let me know that people are interested, people want to interact, and people want to hear my perspectives on things. And so maybe we'll start throwing in these a little more often. They're always fun. I enjoy interacting with the listeners, because it makes it feel like a conversation with the people that consume the show. And that's really what it's all about. So I appreciate everybody that took the time to submit questions. And I think we'll be able to get through a lot of them. You guys will be shocked to hear that tons of them are Jiu Jitsu related. And you know, the more the show grows and the more exposure the show gets, I consistently get emails and DMs saying, do more Jiu Jitsu content. Let's talk about Jiu Jitsu more often. And, that's not strange to me because I know the power of Jiu Jitsu. I've seen what it's done for my life, what it's done for my family, what it's done for my community. All of my friends that have decided to invest in Jiu Jitsu, I've seen it improve all of their lives. And, more and more people, they touch that magic. They see what it's all about, and then they're interested. They want to hear more details. They want to hear little tips and tricks, and they have lots of questions regarding the jiu-jitsu journey. And that's what makes it fun, guys. I've been on my jiu-jitsu journey for 20 years now, and it took me 10 to get my black belt, and I've been at it for another decade since then, and really nothing has changed. The color of your belt shifts as you spend more hours on the mats, but other than that, the journey doesn't change. You are constantly pursuing excellence. You're pursuing challenge. You're facing adversity. You're building a network of people. You're finding comfort in uncomfortable situations, all while simultaneously developing a skill set that, make no mistake about it, in the face of a physical confrontation, will save your life. And that's a fact. A lot of people want to debate which martial art is the best for self-defense. And guys, the truth is, in my opinion, jiu-jitsu is best suited for one-on-one combat self-defense. You start getting into things like crowds and groups of people and bars and clubs and people in, in parking lots and stuff like that. Well, now you might want to be thinking about Muay Thai or boxing, because the situation's a little more dynamic. But I talk about it all the time with my team. And that is, your jiu-jitsu is not going to save you because you know how to break someone's arm or choke someone unconscious. Your jiu-jitsu is going to save you because the energy that you project out into the world is no longer victim energy. It's motherfucker energy. It's, I'm confident in who I am. I'm not afraid of conflict. I'm not afraid of combat. And once you're comfortable putting yourselves in situations that you put yourself in nightly on the mats, once that becomes a comfortable place, people feel that energy from you and they don't fuck with you. Guys guys, I was going to say guys and gals, but typically men are who victimize other people when it comes to being physically, physical altercations. And so guys that go out there and look to victimize members of their community, and I don't care if it's like actual criminal behavior where they're trying to rob you, or maybe they're just fucking bullies and they just talk down to people and they demean people. Regardless of the motives, people that are wired like that, they always look for the weakest link. So if you are not the weakest link, when they're doing their scan on who they're going to fuck with, they see you and they just keep scrolling right past you and they go to the next person. And so don't think that your jiu-jitsu, just because you've been trained in 10 years and you've never had an altercation where you've had to use jiu-jitsu, don't think your jiu-jitsu hasn't saved you. It's probably more likely than not that your jiu-jitsu has saved you on multiple occasions and you never even knew about it. And to tell you the truth, that's how we want it to play out, right? I think Jocko was saying it not too long ago. He's like, what are your tips on dealing with a physical altercation? He's like, well, first and foremost, I run. It's like, wow, what? A 240-pound black belt Navy SEAL is going to run from a confrontation? Guys, in the world that we live in, 1,000 years ago, Jocko would have beheaded you with his battle axe. And I wish that was still an option, because I have a battle axe and beheading people sounds very fucking appealing sometimes. but we have to operate in a specific rule set that our society falls under right now. And unfortunately, if you find yourself in a physical altercation, there's a lot of bad that can come from that. And so don't think removing yourself from the environment in which the altercation is about to happen is a cowardly act. I actually agree with Jocko on this one. I thought it was a good message. If you have nothing to gain and something to lose from a physical altercation, then you have to ask yourself, why am I engaging in it? Now, if my woman is at risk, or there's someone in my house, or the safety of my children is also something that may be potentially at risk, fuck, it's go time. Zero concern for my own physical well-being or my own safety, and just absolute reckless abandonment. Let's fucking go to the death. And I get that too. And there are times for that. I've had people talk to me about, what if I'm getting mugged, or what if someone asks for my wallet? And you'll hear people say, dude, money's not worth dying for. Just hand over your wallet. And that's where I have a little bit of a disagreement, because I ain't handing my money over to fucking anyone. And you can call that pride, you can call that ego, but the truth is I have to look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day, and I have to be proud of who I am. We've talked about this on the show countless times. I think a good measure of where you are at in life is when you look at yourself in the mirror, are you happy with the person that's looking back at you rather? Are you happy with who that person is? Their physical and their mental well-being? Are they staying motivated, and are they accomplishing their goals, and are they building a network? Are they building their business? Are they building their brand? Are they good for their family? All the things that you want to assess regularly about yourself. If you cower to another man, it's going to be hard to look at yourself and be proud. And so obviously, guys, there's a million different fucking scenarios that we could play out. If someone has a knife, if someone has a gun, if it's Brock Lesnar, like, sometimes self-preservation takes precedence, and only you can decide that. But the truth is, moving away from a potential confrontation, it doesn't make you a coward at all. It's something that may make sense in a lot of different social settings. And so with that said, the only other thing I wanted to touch on before we jump into these questions here is I had a guy, let's see here. It was an Instagram post, and it was my post talking about how the seasons of life, like the ebb and flows of fitness. And, like always, we have to talk about being capable and being ready and being someone that is grounded in reality and striving to be the best version of themselves. And he wrote a comment, and it said, and again, as usual, I don't engage these fucking people on the internet because I got better things to do, but it's fun to talk about. So I bring it up on the podcast from time to time. And he said, you have marketed become ungovernable shirts, but as soon as the government had an issue with your business, you just sucked their dick to do whatever you needed to do to stay open, something along those lines. And, the reason I want to bring that up is because it's kind of fascinating that people think become ungovernable means become fucking unreasonable. All right. So that's why I brought this up. I wanted to unpack this a little bit, and I wanted to talk to you guys about what does become ungovernable mean? Well, and I take it very serious because I have become ungovernable. And I do believe that in a certain scenario, I will bend a knee to no man. I will follow no rules, and I will do whatever the fuck I need to do to serve me, my family, and my community. That doesn't mean become unreasonable. And that's what morons like this guy are failing to he's failing to connect the fucking dots. Okay. I am a business owner. I am a business owner in Snohomish County in Washington State. And if you look at requirements to run a business, there's a laundry list of what the county expects from you. Now, do I think a lot of it's bullshit? Do I think it's fucking a lot of, you need this fee and you need this permit and this zoning only supports this business? Yeah, it's fucking nauseating. And it goes on and on and on. But the other side of the fucking coin is pick and choose your battles, you dummy. Like, trust me. And I don't need to convince whoever this guy is that when the government fucking comes back and enforces lockdown mandates phase 2, which who knows when that's coming, right? Or they do some egregious ass shit, which is in direct violation of our constitutional rights. That's when you stand up and you say, fuck you. I'm right here and fuck you. But the truth is, if I have a meeting with the county officials about keeping my business open and they say, hey, Greg, the thing is, all the other businesses needed to get this approval and this permit, and we want you to do that too. Okay, I could do one of two things. I could be a dummy and say, fuck you and fuck your permit. And all that is going to do is make my problems grow as a business owner exponentially. Sometimes you got to do what's called playing the game. And my father said to me since I was a little boy, he goes, bro, always remember, there's a difference between sucking dick and playing the game. And I want you guys to think about that because that's the truth. There is a difference between pandering, kissing ass, and sucking dick and playing the game. The game that I am playing is building a gigantic, successful business to feed my family and serve my future. Make no mistake, I didn't suck anybody's dick. I didn't kiss anybody's ass. I sat down at a table with members of the county council and told them what I needed. They told me what they needed. And you know what? They were reasonable people. And it was pretty easy to come to an agreement to keep my business open. So for all you fucking knuckle draggers out there that think every answer at every step is fuck you, I'm going to do whatever I want. That sounds cool on Instagram. It's a cool thing to say, but good luck ever making that how you actually operate in real life. We have to navigate all the bullshit in order to grow a strong business where it's financially feasible, it's successful, but more importantly, I'm serving my fucking community. I have so many people here that are training jiu-jitsu, and I literally hear the success stories nightly. Hey, bro, I've been here a month and a half now, and I'm down 20 pounds, and I've never felt better. And every fucking time I hear someone say that to me, as much as I love hearing it, I also just say, duh. Like, fuck, dude, that's what jiu-jitsu does. But for people that haven't touched the magic, they haven't seen the formula, they haven't felt how that impacts your life, it's almost shocking to them. And it's been 20 years since I felt that. So it's hard for me to feel that emotion that they feel, but I do value it and I do celebrate it. And so for anyone that thinks like the answer is always fuck you, I'm going to do whatever I want, just let me know how that works out for you. You know, I have tons of friends that are strong, capable men that would never bend a knee, like Mike Glover, like Andy Frisella. You don't think Andy Frisella has to meet tons of deadlines and tons of red tape and tons of county regulations and state codes and all these fucking tax requirements? He plays the fucking game to make First Form the fucking empire that it is. You can't get to the top without playing the game to a certain degree. And so just remember, guys, there's a difference between playing the game and sucking somebody's dick. So with that said, let's go into some of these questions. And like I said, I got tons and tons of questions. It was cool. First question, we're just going to go right down the list, and I'll give the user a little shout out with their Instagram handle from PV216. He said, do you plan on pursuing bow hunting? As an avid bow hunter, I think you'd love it. Well, I don't know if you followed my journey very closely because I just got into bow hunting. I should say I got into shooting a bow 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't pursue an actual hunt until last October, and that was out in Wisconsin. And if you go back, I actually did a whole episode from the camp that we were doing with my buddy that owned the cabin and owned the ranch. And, we hunted for 5 days and we had a successful hunt. And me and my boy killed a 9-point buck. And that's the first animal I've ever taken with a bow. And When I say him and I killed a buck, it's a crazy fucking story. You can go back to that episode and listen to it. But we were in 2 different tree stands, 80 acres apart from each other. The ranch we were hunting on is 80 acres. And I shot the buck on one corner. And as it ran away from me, it ended up running right under his tree stand. And he put the arrow in the animal that killed it. And when we tracked it and we found the animal, there was 2 arrow holes through it. So pretty fucking fascinating that our first buck that we've ever killed, either one of us, we killed it together. Really, really powerful experience. I think bow hunting, I've shot rifles my whole life. I've been in combat. I've killed human beings with rifles, but there's something different about hunting an animal because, for me in combat, it was us against them. It was going after someone that you had a hatred for, someone that you didn't want to share planet Earth with. That's a different energy than killing an animal because I celebrate animals. I love nature. I'm actually, a lot of you guys are probably, if you knew how I really behaved in regards to plants and animals, you'd probably think I'm a tree-hugging hippie faggot. But, this morning I was on my porch and or on my deck off of my bedroom, and the gutter that surrounds that is right off of the deck, it's clogged right now, so it's filled with water, and there was a bee in there drowning. And so I went and I got a little piece of cardboard and I pulled him out of the water and then took him downstairs and put him back in the little bee house that we have in our backyard. And it's because I celebrate life, guys. I think plants and animals are fascinating, and I'm not ever going to hurt something unless I need to for my own sustainability. And that's how I look at hunting. Like shooting that deer was, it's something that was powerful. I celebrated it, but at the same time, man, it was emotional. It kind of hurt a little bit. And to tell you the truth, I don't want to lose that. I like that. I don't want to ever find myself in a place where taking another life doesn't come with some type of emotional response, because it lets you, it just fills you with a little more appreciation and it keeps you a little more grounded. And so I 100% plan on continuing to bow hunt. I already have another hunt booked at the same place out in Wisconsin this October with the same guys. And I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm excited. So question 2, as a cop, and this is from Donovan024. As a cop, did you balance jiu-jitsu, working out, and family? Some tips on this, please. So I'll say this, as a cop, in my opinion, it is not a choice to figure out how to balance jiu-jitsu, working out, and family. Those things are absolutely imperative. If you don't prioritize those things and you don't put tons of energy into those things and you prioritize your profession before those things, it's a fucking losing battle. All right. As a police officer, I believe you have to be fit. I believe you have to be proficient in grappling. And then the other thing is, man, you have to have a good relationship with your family. Those things aren't something that we should do. Those are things we must do. And so if you are a police officer and you're trying to balance jiu-jitsu and working out, I would say this to you. Balancing family is never going to be something that is on the table for debate. You're probably not going to have to sit your wife down and be like, listen, I really want to spend more time with our kids, and I want to allocate these times to go out and share family meals together or do family activities. You go to your family and you say that, they're going to be fucking excited. Now, I don't feel like the family aspect of this is something that you have to really fight for. The only thing you have to do is prioritize your time. And guys, I know as a deputy, I was working 5/10s with a commute on each end. I would leave the house at 6 a.m. and I would get back home at 8:30 p.m. So my kids weren't awake when I left, and I would literally get home just in time to tuck them in bed, kiss them, and tell them I love them. And it was stressful, man. That is not how a father should be interacting with his daughters. But the truth is, sometimes We have to do what we have to do to pay the bills, put food on the table, and really just build yourself to be successful in the next phase of your life. And sometimes that means we have to compromise some of the things that we don't want to compromise on. And if that means a little more time away from our family, fuck, man, as terrible as it is, sometimes that's how the fucking cookie crumbles. And so just be very open and honest with your family, but don't get caught in the hamster wheel that this is going to be my forever life. Always be looking and trying to figure out how you can change it. How can you cut down on your commute? How can you give your daughters more time? And start to set standards. Like, hey, I know that from Monday to Friday, I'm not very available. So on the weekends, I want to do this. But the reason that I was getting home so late is because I had to go to jiu-jitsu practice after work. And that was a must for me. And so, Donovan, what I would say to you, the most important part of your question that kind of sticks out to me is any tips on that when it comes to balancing jiu-jitsu and working. Man, if you're a single guy, probably not a fucking issue because your time is your time and you can do whatever you want. But if you're married or you have a family, it is imperative to articulate to your wife what the importance of jiu-jitsu is in relation to your career. You cannot be an effective cop and do your job to the best of your abilities without understanding how to grapple. And one thing you should tell her is like, yes, I like training. Yes, it's fun. Yes, I'm around good people. I'm not saying like, oh, fuck, I have to train because it's the only thing that's going to keep me safe. Like, be honest. Don't be disingenuous. But at the same time, let her know if you want me to be the best cop I can be and ensure that I come home every night, this is something that I need to do. It's not something that I just want to do. And you need to have her support on the mission. And the truth, if she's not willing to support that and allow you to dedicate more time into becoming someone that's more capable, that's better at your job, and that is somebody that can de-escalate situations and handle violence more effectively, man, if she's not willing to support you with that, we don't have a jiu-jitsu problem here. We have a fucking wife problem. And as the leader of your family, you need to make sure that she understands I have to do what I have to do to be the best police officer that I can be. And so that would be my advice. Make sure you sit down with your family. Make sure you sit down with your wife and your kids if you have them and articulate, hey, this is the reason why I get home at 8:00 at night. And tell them like, if there's something, if there's a new movie that came out and you want to do family movie night, or you want to go out to dinner and celebrate something as a family, like just be open with me and articulate your thoughts and your desires and your needs. I don't have to train every single night, but always make sure that that balance is something that you prioritize jiu-jitsu and then you allow your family to kind of pull the trump card here and there to allow you to dedicate time to them as well. But don't allow that to become something that's a regular occurrence. If you're not training a minimum of 2 days a week, man, we got a fucking problem. And I think 3 days a week is the magic number, but you have to make sure that you stay on that horse because once you step off it too many times, it can be hard to get back on. The next question is from Mac 12215. Why is jiu-jitsu so addicting? Fuck, man. We could do an entire episode on this, but jiu-jitsu is so addicting because, in my opinion, it is the only activity where you are basically simultaneously doing a Metcon and playing a game of chess. Those two things, you are engaging your body and your brain at the highest level simultaneously. Very few things in life are putting yourself through that type of thing. Like go to a CrossFit workout and play a game of Sudoku at the same time. Like it's just not feasible. It doesn't happen. It can't work like that. But jiu-jitsu is that. It's an absolute high level of, it's an intellectual and physical battle at the same time. And man, the reason that it's so addicting is because during that 7-minute roll, 100% of your life's focus and your life's energy is being consumed by the problem that is right in front of you. When you get to give something 100% of your effort, what you find is all the bullshit, the stresses of your daily life, the stresses of your boss being a dick to you, your wife was a bitch to you last night, like all the stuff that consistently drags people down. For those 7 minutes, it doesn't exist. And when you're here for 90 minutes, and for 90 minutes of your day, none of that shit exists. What it allows your body to do is have a physical and an emotional reset. Obviously, the benefits of exercise are well documented. We don't have to go into that. Everybody knows how healthy exercise is for the body, but for the mind as well. Because, we always say mind, body, spirit, but the truth is they are all interconnected. After practice, find me a person that's sweaty, that's tired, that really gave their all for the 90 minutes here that we're at practice. And find me the person that says, man, I regret doing that. I wish I stayed home and watched and binged Game of Thrones. It doesn't exist because there's something inside your body that is rewarding you for putting yourself through that. We have to face these arduous tasks. It's part of being a human being. It's part of the yin and yang of life. We have to go through hard times. And once you go through those hard times, and again, guys, it might be fun, but at the same time, it's hard. You put yourself through those hard times, and when you come out on the other side, you feel good. Well, things that you do that make you feel good become addicting. I mean, that is what an addiction is. People are searching to get that good feeling, that dopamine hit. Well, you can get that in jiu-jitsu without any of the negative side effects, other than beautiful ears and, fucked up backs and aching knees. And so I guess there is side effects. But guys, like I always say, there's no free lunch, right? Have you ever heard of Ellensburg Jiu-Jitsu? So obviously this person lives in Ellensburg, Washington, and there's a jiu-jitsu academy out there. And I have not. And actually, my boy just moved to Ellensburg. And so I'm interested, and that's something I'll take a look in. I'm not familiar with them, so I can't speak to them right now. But this is what I always tell people. Don't rely on other people's opinions on a gym. Don't rely on what Yelp says about a gym. If you're interested in a gym, drive there, walk in, shake the professor and owner's hands, and say, hey, I'm interested in training with you. And more importantly than how good of a black belt he is or how strong his curriculum is, what I think first and foremost is, how does he treat you as a human being? What's the energy like in the academy? Are the other people that are there, do they come up and introduce themselves? Do people have smiles on their faces? Do people seem like they're enjoying the space and sharing time and energy with each other? That's what's important. And so even if I'd heard of this gym and I had good things to say about it or bad things to say about it, I would recommend you go in there and see what you think and what you have to say about it. And if it seems like a place that shares your values and shares positivity, like give them a fucking trial and see and train with them for a couple weeks and see what you think. If you're immediately kind of put off for whatever reason, maybe we look at other gyms. Next question. Advice for someone trying to find his purpose in life. Did you seek it or did it seek you? So that's from Joe. He's a Guns and Geese alumni. And you know what? It's a very interesting question because I still don't know if I've found my purpose in life. I don't know if we have a said purpose and, this is what you were put on the earth to do. I know a lot of people that become great at things, that's kind of the concept that they run with. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. And I can tell you right now what I'm doing right now as a gym owner, as a coach, podcasting. I've never felt better about who I am. I've never felt more rewarded when it comes to seeing the smiles on the kids' faces, when I see people losing weight and developing more self-worth. Right now is the most rewarding time of my life, period. And I've done a lot of cool shit. I really enjoyed my time in the military. I enjoyed my time serving. I enjoyed my deployments. And I know a lot of people probably think that sounds strange, but deploying is fun. It's wild. It's fun. It's You don't know what the next day holds. And that's a cool way to live as a young, wild man. But I would say that I don't know if I found my purpose. I think what I did consistently throughout life is when I saw opportunities, I jumped at them. And here's the thing, guys. When you want to jump at an opportunity, you can't allow how difficult it may be to be something that deters you. So right out of the gates, as an 18-year-old kid graduating high school, I want to go in the Army. Well, what do I want to do in the Army? I want to do something real fucking hard. I want to do something that's going to test me and challenge me and push me to my limits. So let's go see if you can become an Army Ranger. And that's kind of been how I've rolled ever since. I see things, opportunities open up in front of me, and I jump on them and I seize them and I put all of my energy into it. And I think it's a good way to live. And if you don't jump at opportunities, you're going to fucking miss them. I think, what was it? It was someone, I was watching a guy bow hunting the other day, and he shot and he missed. And he goes, well, one thing I always say is you miss 100% of the shots you never take. And I thought that was a cool quote because that's life. You miss 100% of the shots that you never take. So instead of going out there and saying, I need to find what my purpose is, because I don't know if anyone ever really truly finds their purpose. I think they find paths, they find patterns, they find social networks, they find tribes, they find jobs, they find careers that serve them well. And if you find the right ones, life can be pretty fucking cool. And if you find the wrong ones, life can be pretty fucking miserable. And so always seek things that are going to level you up, challenge you, and build and put you around a group of people that you want to share time and space with. That's the biggest thing that we can do. And a lot of people that want to sit back and wait for something magical to happen. Like you can't wait for things to happen. You have to make things happen. And so find things that you're passionate about, find things that interest you, and start putting your energy into them. And when you see opportunities open up in those prospective fields, fucking jump on them. That's the key. Take risk, take opportunity, live in a place of passion, not in a place of fear, and just ride this wave. But guys, I've changed who I am almost every 5 years. I was in the military for 5, and then I did overseas contracting for another 5. And then I was a deputy for 5. And then I was a fucking police officer for about another 5. And I like change. I like new challenges. I like seeing what's next. And right now, jiu-jitsu is both the most emotionally rewarding thing and the most financially rewarding thing I've ever done. But that doesn't mean that this is my mission. I might fucking be moving on to something else at some point, and I'm okay with that. That's the fucking cool thing about life. Always seeing what's next. Would you ever leave? This is from Kyle Witherell. Would you ever leave Washington? It looks awesome out there, but a lot of fuckery. And the reason I chose this question is because I get asked this regularly. I hear this question all the time. And guys, this is the political landscape of our country is coming for you. Like that's kind of how I look at it in my head. Like it's coming for you now or it's coming for you later. Like the way that our political system is structured has allowed the slimiest scoundrels to work their way in and have an ability to really dictate how we live our lives. And I fucking despise it on so many levels. But the truth is, if you fucking run from it and you say, fuck man, I'm going to move to Wisconsin or I'm going to move to Montana just to get away from it, it's going to follow you there. Government does what government does. And they want to fucking take as much money from us as they can. They want to subjugate us and they want us to be their fucking slaves. That's what government wants to do. And just because you go over here or over there, make no mistake about it. If the problem still exists, it's only a matter of time before it follows you. Now, are there states that I think probably have a better system set up than others? Of course I do. But at the same time, I was born and raised here. This is my home, and I'm not going to get pushed out. So it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast. Washington's my home. This is where I fucking live. This is where my family is. This is where I'm raising my babies. I love it here. Outside of the rotten politics, Washington is, in my opinion, the most beautiful place on planet Earth. It's super dramatic scenery. We have great seasons, and it's fucking like, we have the ocean here. We have the mountains. It's a powerful place. And I'll be damned if I'm going to leave my favorite place on planet Earth because of some faggot like Jay Inslee. Fuck you. Or some faggot like Bob Ferguson. Fuck you. And it goes back to what we said at the beginning about being ungovernable. All right? I'll play your fucking games, but I ain't going to give up my shit. You're not taking my guns. You're not going to fucking start imposing all these bullshit rules against me and making me a criminal. And if it ever gets to the point where you cocksuckers want to do that, okay, then that's where we make our final stand. And I'm okay with that. In my opinion, that is the fucking biggest foundational problem in our country is most men won't draw hard lines in the sand and say, I've had a fucking enough. If you're not willing to say that about anything in life, then you're already a fucking slave. There are things that are non-negotiable, and you have to determine what those are and what those aren't. But if you get pushed past those, then you need to fucking stand up and say, I'm right here. And that's where I'm at with Washington. And guys, I don't want to. It depends on what day you catch me on. Sometimes I do want to fucking go to war and string these cocksuckers up. But the other side of it is sometimes I just want to teach jiu-jitsu and raise my family and be happy. But regardless of how you feel on any given day, you have to have standards that you set, and you have to be unwilling to fucking bend those standards even an inch. Because you step backwards 1 inch, they're just going to keep pushing. They're going to make you they're going to push you back another inch and another inch and another inch. And before you know it, you're in a 12 by 12 cube eating fucking crickets because that's what's good for you and that's what you like. So you can fucking run all you want, but the problem's going to follow us until we solve it. And I don't know what solving it looks like. I don't know if we're going to solve it. I don't know if our kids are going to solve it. I don't know if our grandkids are going to solve it. But the problem's going to be fucking solved one day. I just pray that I am here to fucking see it. Next question from Mitch C26. If you had one upgrade to make on an AR, what would you choose? And there's a couple gun questions in these questions today, and I'm here to tell you I'm not a gun guy. Now, being that I'm not a gun guy doesn't mean I can't fight with a rifle. I'm really good at fighting with a rifle. It was my livelihood for a long time. But I don't know what the coolest, next most fucking badass little gadget is or like what the newest technology is. So I'll just say what I think is imperative for a good fighting rifle. A good fighting rifle has to have a nice optic. Now, the mission in which you want to employ that rifle is really going to determine the optic. If you want a home defense rifle shooting inside of your house, you probably just want a nice red dot. If you want something that's going to serve you as an infantryman where you're out in the woods and you may be taking 300-400 meter shots, maybe you go with an ACOG. Maybe you build a couple different rifles for different purposes. It's not a lot of optics can cover all the different necessities of a rifle. So rifles get built specifically for what they're going to be used for. But a lot of times you have to find something that can maybe cover both or different aspects of combat as best you can. I know Vortex Razor is a cool optic that it can go from 0 power up to 10. It also has a red dot. So you have to think about what your rifle's for and then what type of optic to run. But a good fighting rifle has an optic on it. A good fighting rifle also has a light source on it, period. If you don't have a light source on your rifle, it is not ready for combat. And there's plenty of different routes you can go, but I'm a fan of Surefire. The last thing that I'll say is that what a good fighting rifle needs is a fucking 2-point sling. not a single point attachment that's going to be flopping around. You need to be able to secure your rifle to your body, especially if you need to provide medical assistance, if you need to pick something up, if you need to climb a ladder. So a nice 2-point sling. I like the Viking Tactics 2-point sling, and I've been running that for years. Big fan of that company. But there's a lot. There's another one called a Slingster. There's some cool companies out there, but you have to have a nice 2-point sling on your rifle. The next thing, and this isn't a necessity, we're kind of getting into guys that just want to piss money away on their rifle, but I have a IR laser on my rifle too. And that's the last thing that I think is important, because when you're fighting an enemy that potentially does not have night vision, now we need to think about how far that advances you on the battlefield. Now, there's people out there that'll say, oh, well, your IR laser fucking gives you up to other people that have night vision capabilities. Okay, you're not wrong. So know your enemy, know who you're fighting. What capabilities do they have? And if you're fighting people that also have night vision, then you're going to need to have a night vision system that is built into the optic and that is contained. But regardless, being able to see in the dark is an absolute game changer. What's your current lifting workout routine like? That's from ZS Wizzle 9. It's shit. I did a post the other day. I'm the fattest that I've been in a long time. And by 99.9% of American standards, I'm probably not fat at all. But my rule is a ripped 6-pack or I'm a fat piece of shit. And there is no in between. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I dedicated most of my life energy into building the new gym for the last 6 months. Day in and day out, I have been cutting floors and hanging equipment and painting and laying mats. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And I'm literally in the new studio as we speak. And I have to hang a door, which I might do this afternoon. I have to do some trim around the walls. And I'm not bitching, guys. I love what I've built here, but I have allocated my life energy into something outside of fitness, and I've kind of paid for it. And so, I was actually a group text with friends the other day, and we said it's time to get back on the horse. The gym is pretty much done now, and now it's time to get fucking nasty again. So to answer your question, I will tell you what my workout routine looks like when I am in a fucking great physical fitness routine. I think walking is super important. I think you need to wake up, and it's funny you're asking this because my routine, it literally started this week. So I'm getting back in the swing of things. I think when you wake up, you need to walk for 45 minutes. And you need to move your body. You need to just put one foot in front of the other, and not expectations of how far you're going to walk or what your pace is. Just get out of bed and go move your body for a little bit. And I'm telling you guys, it doesn't look cool to share on Instagram, and it's not some nasty Metcon, and it doesn't need a bunch of fancy equipment, but you get up and you just walk. That's what we fucking do as human beings. And you are going to feel much better. There's also a lot of science coming out that walking is literally one of the most beneficial things that you can do when it comes to overall health and fitness. Mike Dulce, I don't know if you guys follow him. If you don't, you should. He was a UFC trainer, and he fought for a while, but when I say trainer, his expertise was not, he wasn't teaching guys how to fight. He was teaching guys how to eat and how to cut weight. And he's an expert in that field. And he talks about that all the time. Walking is one of the biggest things. Now, the next thing I will say about fitness is you have to find whatever routine or whatever discipline that you enjoy training in, and then you have to prioritize it. For me, I roll hard 3 nights a week without exception. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I roll hard. And that's my nights that I dedicate to that aspect of my fitness. Sometimes Tuesdays I get hard rounds in too if I feel like I need a little extra, but I don't set that as an expectation. I just kind of play it by ear. Now, outside of jiu-jitsu, what are the other things that we need to be doing? I'm a big believer in lifting weights, and I'm also a believer in the CrossFit methodology as long as you listen to your body and you're smart. You know, the reason CrossFit gets it gets a bad rap is because a lot of times people are lifting weights for time. So it's like, hey, I need to do this many deadlifts, but I want to get the best time. So let's do the deadlifts as fast as we can go. When you start to incorporate a competitive spirit into Olympic lifting, that's when the wheels can fall off. So obviously, guys, if you want to push yourself and you want to work out fast and hard, I get that. But don't do it to a point where you start to compromise your actual technique, because that's where injuries happen. And ask me how I fucking know. I've been on the receiving ends of CrossFit injuries plenty of times. And so I think we need to be training a minimum of 5 days a week. And so for me, what I did for years was 3 days of hard jiu-jitsu, 2 days of hard CrossFit. Moving forward, this is my fitness routine. I'm going to do 3 days of hard jiu-jitsu. I'm going to do 3 days of lifting weights, and it's not going to be a CrossFit style. It's going to be more of a bodybuilding style where I'm just really focused on slow, methodical lifting to build strength. And then I just bought a Matrix stair climber, and I'm going to hit that 45 minutes every day. So I want to walk outside often too, but I want to hit that stair mill for 45 minutes every day and just see what that does for my body composition and my overall cardiovascular fitness. Quick overview. Next question from Bran87. Quick overview on the diet. How do you cook your steaks? Favorite cuts, go-to snacks, etc. Well, guys, again, like when I prioritized the gym, I fell off my diet a little bit too, but I'm back on, and I've been back on 100% disciplined, I think for 2 weeks now. And my diet now is, I used to say steak and apples, and steak and apples serve me very well, but that's also very, very, very restricted. I don't know if it's sustainable long-term. So what I'm doing now is plants and animals. And I don't have any other specific rules or requirements outside of plants and animals. And what plants and animals ends up being for me is almost exclusively steak and some fruit, because I'm not a big fan of vegetables. I just don't like vegetables. The only vegetables I like are like Caesar salads. And so plants and animals, and then I will allow myself, obviously, if I'm going to have a Caesar salad, a little bit of dressing or some type of sauce or some type of ketchup on the steak. Oh, you eat ketchup on your steak? That's blasphemy. Not usually, but sometimes I do. I'm weird like that. But again, if you're going to eat ketchup, make sure that it is a healthy ketchup, that it doesn't have a bunch of sugar and a bunch of high fructose corn syrup in it. And so I've been back on, and I'm almost exclusively eating steaks and fruit. My favorite cut is ribeyes. Ribeyes, hands down, are my favorite cut. And it's because they have a lot of fat in them. And when you find yourself in a diet where you're not getting a lot of dietary fat, man, your body craves it. And getting it through meat and through animal products is a fucking good way to do that. And so, I used to cut the strips of fat out of steaks, like when I was younger, because I was averse to eating it. But now that I'm very fat adapted and my body likes consuming fat and it craves fat, man, I'll eat a fucking ribeye that's half fat and cut it up, and it's fucking amazing. My go-to snacks are, well, shout out Paleo Valley grass-fed beef sticks. That's a mid-podcast ad. I don't like it when you advertise stuff in the middle of your podcast. But those are my go-to snacks. I put pieces of fruit and beef sticks in my car, in my gym, and that's really that's what I go to when I'm hungry. Other than that, yeah, that's about all I eat lately. And I've been drinking lots of water. I don't think I'm at a gallon a day like I was on 75 hard, but I drink a lot of water. And I switched to Kangen water. And this isn't a second mid-roll ad, because I don't know if Kangen water is doing what it claims to do or not. A lot of people think increasing the pH in your water is bullshit, but I'm here to tell you I'm drinking water with a 9.5 pH now, and I feel better. I think it's doing something. And, the placebo effect is real. So maybe it's not doing anything. But if I believe it's doing something, then maybe I'm going to maybe I should just continue doing this. I just got blood work done last week. from Blokes, which is a cool company. Check them out on Instagram. And they're in the profession of male hormone and peptide therapy, but they do a comprehensive like panel and really look at what's going on inside of you. And all of my stuff has been improving. And the only thing I really changed was drinking pH water with pH 9.5 pH water. So there you go. Our microdose adversity rash guards coming out. Please, maybe a collab with Origin. So like I say, guys, if there's a demand for it, we'll make it. Moya brand gis has been with me since 2015. So when it comes to Jiu Jitsu gis, I won't be partnering with Origin anytime soon. But Origin did just send me some jeans and some shirts, and I have a pair of their boots, and I fucking love that company's clothing. And so I was actually just talking to him. Maybe we're going to do an American made, no one's coming to save you, or an American made microdose adversity. And I'm not opposed to doing a rash guard. You know, I love Moya brand. They've done great rash guards for us in the past, but being a gi jiu-jitsu guy, I look at Moya as my go-to company for gis. And outside of that, I'm not opposed to working with Origin. So we'll see what happens. Feelings on the full court press with pedophilia and ideas on how to combat this heinous shit. I'm not sure that question was worded exactly how they wanted to word it, but I'm going to guess they're talking about all the bullshit that's going on with the indoctrination of our children. And everywhere you look, it's like, oh, look, celebrate being homosexual, celebrate cutting your dick off, celebrate everything under the sun other than a strong family unit that consists of a man as the father and a woman as the mother. I think it's pretty fucking heinous, as it says in your question. How do we combat this heinous shit? Man, I honestly think the way we combat all this heinous shit is that it literally starts with you, the individual. Andy says it all the time. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. Well, if we don't like what we're seeing in our community, if we don't like how we see people behaving in our community, what can you do to potentially be an alternative source for people to look at? An alternative source of where people can dedicate their time and their resources, and where they can spend their energy and they can give their time to, you know. And if you're mad about your local library having a fucking trans kids book reading, and trust me, guys, I think that shit's fucking retarded too. And when I see it, it rubs me the wrong way, and it makes me want to go down there and fucking slap somebody. Why do we need men dressing as women reading to our children? Why do we need that? The answer is we don't need that. However, man, people are going to do that. And what is the answer to that? You know, people want legislation stopping the trans community from being able to have their parades and have their book readings and shit like that. And I actually am not for that. And here's why. I want less government involvement and less government restrictions, not more. And if a fucking man puts on makeup and puts on a bikini and goes to a fucking anywhere, to a park or to a library, and wants to read to children, as fucked up as that person is, man, he's an individual with mental illness. In my opinion, he's not the problem. The problem is all you fucking parents that take your kids and subject them to that. What the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And so instead of getting bent out of shape about these freaks that fucking are always, you know, they're everywhere you look in the media and on your phone and on social media websites, it's everywhere. And we're just being fucking bombarded with it. But I think the key is to be vocal about it. Don't be ashamed to push back against these fucking radicals. I think your fucking agenda is bullshit. I think you people are stupid. I think you're sick. We can say all that stuff and don't be ashamed. Oh, well, if I say that, you know, my boss might think this. Then you're part of the problem too, because you're a fucking coward. Speak your truth. Don't be afraid to shine a spotlight on stuff that you think is dirty and stuff you think is disgusting. But more importantly than just what we say, what do we do? If you don't stand for that kind of bullshit, then what is the alternative? Well, for me, it is, how do I increase the value of the children in my community? How do I make them feel better about themselves? How do I make them feel more confident? It's not by sitting them down and talking to them about cutting their dick off. It's about sitting them down and talking to them about all the aspects of life that we talk about on this show regularly. And one thing I've been thinking about lately is, man, you know who should be the most angry about this fucking trans movement? You know who should be the most angry? Is gay men. Where are you motherfuckers at? Where are you motherfuckers at stepping up and saying how fucking offensive this is? Because listen to this, guys. What the trans movement is telling people is your body's not good enough, or your body's wrong, or you shouldn't be who you are. You should be someone else. Since when is that a message that's fucking celebrated by anyone? Can you imagine if we took a little white child and said, you know what? You shouldn't be white. You should be black. Let's go through a procedure to fucking tan or dye your skin. Can you imagine if we told a little boy that? Everyone would be appalled. But we're doing that with their sexuality. If you got a young boy that thinks that he likes men instead of women, maybe he's just gay. But you motherfuckers, you can't have that, can you? Nope. You need to twist it and take it even a fucking 100 steps further and say, oh, no. You're not just gay. You actually are a little girl that's trapped in a little boy's body. And now we're going to fucking physically, through surgical procedures and hormone therapy, we're going to change your body so it's right. Because right now your body's wrong. If that's a message you're telling kids, that their body is wrong, fuck you. You should be strung up with the rest of these motherfuckers that we're going to string up one day. It's despicable. You can't just accept that some boys are gay. Nope, not good enough. It's because your body's wrong. People should be fucking appalled by this. The left should be appalled by this more than anybody. But nope. Because you guys have your fucking head in the sand and because you're just fucking pawns for the machine, you just do whatever they fucking tell you to do and you just go along with it. You post your flag, you post your Ukraine flag, and you just fucking become a mouthpiece for the corrupt government. Congratulations. You should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. There we go. Excuse me. All right. How do you hope to be remembered by your loved ones? You know what? I love this question. That's from Aaron Myers. That's a person that I know. That's a person that's been on the show before. And you know how I hope to be remembered by my loved ones? Is someone that showed courage in the face of adversity. I don't care what that adversity is. I don't care what that courage looks like. But when people fucking speak about me and say my name after I'm long gone, I want them to always remember I didn't shy away from conflict and I stood up for what I believed was right. If all you motherfuckers would just be willing to stand up for what you believe to be right, we wouldn't be in the predicament we're in. And I'm not even saying what is right or what is wrong. I am saying if what you feel in your heart, you're not willing to fight for that, and you're not willing to stand up, and you're not willing to speak for that, man, you're going to be remembered as a fucking coward. History is fucking written of the men and women that did fucking courageous things, that weren't intimidated, that weren't subjugated, that weren't willing to bend a knee, and that were willing to stand up for what they believed to be right. And if I can be remembered in the ranks with those men and women, man, I would be fucking elated. BJJ Conditioning asked me, best way to run a CrossFit and BJJ business together. Well, I'm here to tell you, and on my property now, we have our CrossFit business and we have our Jiu Jitsu business. And the two buildings are 35 yards apart from each other. And I'm here to tell you that both gyms are absolutely flourishing and doing extremely well. And we have almost no crossover. Athletes that like to do CrossFit, and Jiu Jitsu people like to do Jiu Jitsu. And we were co-located with CrossFit in the exact same building for the last 8 years. And now we are literally side by side from each other. And guys, I think I can count on one hand how many people that are members of CrossFit are also members of Jiu Jitsu. And I thought that everybody, when we came up with this idea, way back in 2011 or whatever it was, we thought that we would have everybody fucking doing burpees and then getting on them, throwing their gis on. But what I've found is these activities just seem to appeal to a different mindset. And again, I'm not saying one is better or worse, but I am. Jiu-jitsu is better, but I'm also biased. But people are going to find what serves them and what they enjoy and what helps them achieve their fitness goals. And people are geeking out on CrossFit. People love it over there. That fucking building is slammed every single night. But I don't see a lot of those people over here. And so to answer the question, I don't really know. I honestly think, and this is just what we have done through just kind of the way that the business has grown, man, they're separate. They're separate. I do offer a massive discount if you want to join Jiu-Jitsu and you are already a member of CrossFit, because I feel like we're not the same business, but we share the space. We all know each other, and it becomes pretty expensive to have multiple gym memberships at a full rate. So if you're a member of CrossFit Lake Stevens and you want to join our gym, I'm going to give you a very good discount. But I don't see a business model where both of those get sold as like a package deal to one person and ever being successful, because in my experience, it just draws a different crowd of people. I have a handful of CrossFit athletes that do train jiu-jitsu. Like I said, I think I can count them on one hand, and I love those people. Great energy, great athletes, and they're all in with jiu-jitsu. But more often than not, it just draws a different crowd. So probably not what you want to hear. But what I have done at my gym for the people that are into fitness, I've built a gym as part of Electric Jiu-Jitsu that's big enough for people to be able to come and work out, do their deadlifts, do their Olympic lifting. Like, we have all the stuff inside of our gym now, but it's not anything that is ran on a schedule or actually offer classes. It's like, hey, if you're a member of my gym, you can come and work out in our workout room now. And I think that's the way to go. Just give opportunity to people. But the other thing it does, it makes your gym that much more appealing. Oh, hey, if I join Electric Jiu-Jitsu, they have a full workout room. They have a squat rack. They have all the different barbells for Olympic lifting. They have a cold plunge. They have a sauna. But then I just kind of leave it on them, as opposed to where over on the other side of the house, all the fitness through CrossFit is very, very well dictated by a coach overseeing all the programming. Oh man, I told my wife to fucking send me a text message on this one. How would your daughters and your wife describe you today versus the version of who you were when you posted your video? And I really like this question, but the truth is they need to be the ones to answer it. And I was hoping that they would answer it, but unfortunately I haven't heard from her yet today. So I would hope they would describe me as someone that is happier, that is more full of life, that is more energized. I feel like I'm getting younger. I'm less prone to injury, I've noticed. When I was a cop, like my knees were going out, my back was going out. And I train harder now than I did then, and I actually feel healthier and stronger. But more important than the physical side of the body or the physical side of life is my mental status has improved dramatically. Like I was going through bouts of depression. I wasn't sleeping very good, and just all of the little things that in combination, all the little things as a police officer that weigh heavy on people. I feel like I've been able to really improve overall quality of life. And when your overall quality of life improves, your fucking mental health improves dramatically. And it's been great. It's been absolutely great. I've said it on the show a million times. I wouldn't go back to being a patrol police officer for $1 million a year salary. Wouldn't even consider it. And so that lets you know that I feel like the path that I've been on since that video has improved my overall quality of life mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I would hope that the girls in my life would echo those same sentiments. Next question. Joe Peacock. Should I learn Muay Thai or boxing after getting my blue belt? I love this question because I honestly think every jiu-jitsu practitioner should at some point in their journey get a little bit of MMA or striking under their belt. I think it's important. I think it's important for a couple reasons. The first is to go back to what we said earlier about physical altercations, running away versus fighting someone, a one-on-one encounter versus a group of people. There are times and there are situations that will 100% require you to punch someone in the fucking mouth. That is the best way to resolve the situation, or kick them right in their head like Crow Cop. There are times when you need to know how to knee and elbow and punch and kick. And you don't want to have to learn how to do those things in real time when that situation presents itself. If you've fallen in love with jiu-jitsu and you love grappling, don't think that you have to go take MMA fights or join a boxing gym, but make sure that you do invest in striking at least enough to just understand the basics. I think every man needs to know how to throw a punch, and every woman for that matter. If you don't have the ability to actually engage in a fight, man, your jiu-jitsu is not what it needs to be. We talk about it on the show all the time. I think your jiu-jitsu doesn't always need to be about winning a fight. Jiu-jitsu can be fun. It can be good for your fitness. It can be a source of improving your mobility. It can be just, you go there and you sweat out and you have fun. It doesn't always need to be about a fight. But if you don't know how to fight, man, we got a problem. So yes, I encourage you to learn some Muay Thai and learn some boxing after your blue belt, if that's how you want to structure it. For me, white through purple belt, I was in the MMA gym almost every day. I was learning all of the details of boxing and kickboxing, and then also striking as it relates to grappling, from this position, from knee ride, from when someone has from when someone's turtled, and to this day, I know how to fight in relation to how my jiu-jitsu works. And I would encourage everybody to take a year or two and just understand that side of the game. I think it's important. Now, if you're training jiu-jitsu and you're loving the journey and you're happy with it, by all means, this isn't me shitting on you or saying you're wrong. Doing that puts you light years ahead of the pack. And that may be all you need. But if you're wondering and you're asking me, should I learn to strike? I'm always going to say yes. These are the 5 martial arts that I think everybody should at least dabble in, and then find the ones that you like the most and really put your energy in them. But it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing or Muay Thai, and judo. And that's because when you lock horns with people in those arts, it's real. When you train those arts, they're real. And you can't be full of shit and do those arts. There's a lot of arts you can be full of shit in. Those aren't the ones. And that's why the best fighters in the world usually have a very strong background in those different arts. All right. General advice for raising girls in today's society. Aside from obviously getting them into BJJ. Yes, your girl should be doing jiu-jitsu. But guys, my girls right now are 8, 11, and 14. My oldest is getting to the point where she's becoming a young woman. And a lot of people will say things to me like, oh man, I feel sorry for their boyfriends. And I think that the ticket to raising girls successfully as strong fathers, it's not being that intimidating asshole dad. Like my 14-year-old has a boyfriend, and I like the kid and I'm cool to him. And as long as he treats me, my family, and my daughter in the right manner with respect and makes good choices and doesn't do stupid shit that puts her in danger, as long as he's towing the line and meeting my expectations of how a 14-year-old boy should be conducting himself, he gets a pass from me. And that's how it should be. Now you want to start doing stupid shit. You guys get your driver's licenses and you start drinking and driving with my fucking girl in your car. Bitch, we got a fucking problem. And it's a problem you don't want. But I think the key to raising girls successfully is, and this isn't just girls necessarily, I think this is just kids in general. Man, give them the freedoms that they've earned and let them go out and experience life on their terms without you being a fucking helicopter parent and fucking hovering above them, always there waiting to see what's going to happen. And, it goes back to no one's coming to save you. And even though I will fucking save my daughters at any and all opportunities if needed, I also want to prepare them for life without me there. And so I can tell you, my 14-year-old, man, she already makes good choices. She's fucking grounded in reality. I don't pull any punches with her. I don't treat my kids like kids. I treat my kids like small adults. And what I mean by that is I tell them the truth about everything. They ask me about things, I tell them the truth. Like my 11-year-old saw me smoking a joint. She's like, why are you smoking a cigarette? You said cigarettes kill people. What are you doing? And I said, I'm not smoking a cigarette. I'm smoking marijuana. And marijuana, in my opinion, isn't something that kills you like cigarettes does. And this is why. And I explained to her the difference, in my opinion, on it, just like I would share if someone asked me that question on the show. I think to raise daughters successfully, the most important thing you have to give them is confidence. I give my daughters confidence by how I interact with them, how I treat them, how I respect them, how I respect their mother, how I show them what a strong household looks like, how I conduct myself as the leader of the family. And a lot of lessons that they take from me are not lessons that I'm necessarily sharing. It's just lessons they observe by living under my roof and living under my rules and living in my household. And you try and build a household that is rooted in love and accountability and standards and truth. What you're going to find is when your girl does get to that age where she's 14, 15, 16, and she starts seeking attention outside of the household, I think inevitably she will make the right choices if you showed her what right looks like from the time she's a little girl. And guys, you know how it is. Parenting is a trial and error. Are we going to do everything right? Fuck no. But one thing that I always do as a parent is when I fuck up, when I'm a little too harsh, when I lose my temper, when I say something that I shouldn't have said, I'll sit the family down, I'll call a family meeting, and I'll look at them in the eyes and I'll apologize. And I'll say, this is what I think I did wrong. And I'll take ownership of it. And I'm by far, or I should say, I'm far from the fucking best dad. I've fucked up a lot. I've been mean as fuck to my kids a lot. They push me, they make me lose my shit, and I'll just be like, everyone shut the fuck up. And I'll get angry. But anytime I get pushed past that point of being reasonable, and I know that I'm being unreasonable, I'll take ownership of it. And so I honestly think that's the key. Show them truth, show them love, make them confident in who they are. And then inevitably they're going to go out into the world and they're going to make good decisions. Thinking about moving out of Washington State due to politics, cowardly or wise? And we already touched on that. And I would not say that you were cowardly if you left. I mean, I'm not going to fucking beat this dead horse and go through this question again. But I would say you have to figure out what your goals are, what the reasons are that are pushing you out, and how potentially another place could offer you something better. And if moving to Montana it makes sense for you, I mean, fuck, Montana's awesome. I would never knock you for doing that. But I will say this, I'll reiterate this point one last time, is if you're leaving hoping to run away from problems, I just think the problems are going to follow us. And that's just, I don't think there's any other way to look at it. You know, we have to cut the head off of the snake. And until that happens, that fucking snake's going to keep coming for us. EDC, question mark. So EDC stands for everyday carry. And I'm assuming this question wants to know my opinions on what you should carry as EDC. Guys, I'm very fucking biased when it comes to guns. I only like one brand of pistol. I like Glocks. And my EDC is a Glock 48. It used to be the 43X, but I've upgraded to the 48, which is basically a 19 with a thinner frame. So it's a little more comfortable to carry inside your waistband. Or what I carry it in is I carry a fanny pack. Now, people will say like, oh, the fanny pack, you have to unzip it. And, if you put me on a shot timer, drawing my gun out of a fanny pack is probably not something that I'm going to want to post on Instagram and brag about. It is what it is, guys. But I put it in a fucking fanny pack out of convenience. And I am of the mindset, if I have to employ my gun in any type of self-defense scenario where I'm defending myself or others, I think there's probably there's a higher probability than not that I'm going to have some opportunity to draw that gun. Now, if someone comes up behind me and puts a gun to the back of my head and says, give me your wallet, well, bitch, we might have a problem now. But that's how life goes sometimes. So I like to operate in probability and not possibility. What I know is when I carry inside the waistband, I get kind of fucking tired of it from time to time. I don't like driving with it because then it's poking me and it's fucking sticking me in the fucking abdomen sometimes. It's pointed right at your dick. There's just things about it that become uncomfortable. And what I've noticed is I find myself coming up with excuses why to not put the gun back in my waistband. I'll sit down in my car and I'll usually take it out for a couple reasons. One, it's a little less comfortable. And two, from a seated position, some of those, the carrying in your waistband, sometimes it's actually harder to access your weapon once you're in a seated position. So I think that the fanny pack is the way to go for me. It's the one that I use is made from Umbris, and it's just like a solid green pattern. It's not something that screams, I'm a fucking military tactical guru. And it's convenient, and it has another pouch, and I keep my fucking wallet in there. And if Mike Glover's listening, I'm going to put a tourniquet in there because I saw your fanny pack video the other day. And let's see, where are we at? No questions. This is from OHOO O'Reilly. Okay. I get it. It's off of that fucking car commercial. No questions, just been a fan since the first podcast. Keep up the good fight. Fuck yeah, I like that. What do we got here? I think we're getting close to the end of the questions that I chose. Oh, here we go. This is weird. It kind of cut off. I can't read much of the message, but it says something about, I did 75 hard, but I'm back to being a fatty. I love bullshit food and it's killing me. What do I need to do? And I was wondering if there's a balance point to find with diet. Like, can I eat bullshit sometimes? Or eat good most of the time? So the way this question came up is a little weird. It came in a manner where like there's other things over the top of it, like his profile picture and his name and shit. So it's a little, I don't know, if there's a glitch in Instagram or something. But I'll say this, guys. I don't think anyone is completely immune to the balance of eating healthy foods and craving bullshit foods other than Sean Baker, who's only eaten steak for the last 7 years. I can't live like that. I can't. I love having pizza sometimes. I love having sushi. I fucking love sushi, but I can't eat sushi when I'm trying to get shredded because it's just too much rice, and it is what it is. So this is what I say to people. If you are being disciplined 9 out of 10 meals, you're going to have good results. And I should say 9 out of 10 days. Let's say 9 out of 10 days, because 9 out of 10 meals, if you're eating a bunch of fucking meals, that would be a cheat meal every other day. That's not going to fucking cut it. You're not going to see results eating bullshit, having a cheat meal every 2 or 3 days. Some people manage the meals. Some people manage the days. For me, what I think works is if I say 1 cheat meal a week, and that kind of allows me if I want to go have sushi or if I want to have pizza. But guys, when I'm on and I'm really strict and I'm fucking trying to get dialed in as fuck, I don't even allow myself that cheat meal because you know how it is. Now, it literally changes the chemistry in your body. It changes the makeup of your gut microbiome. And once you eat bullshit, your body wants more bullshit. And it actually makes being disciplined harder. And so it's bizarre that we do this to ourselves, but you want to eat some bullshit for that little bit of mouth pleasure. And then your body's like, yes, give me more of that. And now you have to be more disciplined to resist those urges. And so typically how I do it, guys, when I'm getting really dialed in, like right now, I'm not cheating. I'm not eating any bullshit, period, until after the next Guns and Geese, because I'm selling a fucking program about capability and being a good, strong version of yourself. And when my fucking clients show up, if I don't look the part, guess what? I'm full of shit. So there's always an ebb and flow to fitness, but 30, 45 days out, 60 days out of certain events, I make myself get more disciplined. And it's not just like, oh, hey, I got to do this for Guns and Geese. I do this several times a year, and I'll pick an event or a vacation or something where I need to look good. And what it does is it gives me some motivation to be able to stay on the path that much easier. So for me, Guns and Geese Class 8, that's one of those things. All right. But just understand this is our life too. All right. When it's all said and done, if you said, you know what, for 60 years, I ate chicken breast and broccoli and I looked good my whole life. Well, are you missing out on having good dinners with your friends and sharing a Guinness sometimes, or having a piece of your daughter's birthday cake? Like, I am of the mindset where I think once in a while, allowing yourself to deviate from being disciplined in order to share special moments with people or enjoy a good meal, I think that that's an okay thing to do. Now, if you're hiding Twinkies under your bed and it's getting weird, all right, now we got a fucking problem, right? But it's literally like everything else in life. There's a dichotomy, all right? All right, guys, last question for the day. What advice would you give to someone doing their first MMA fight? And the reason I want to leave on this is because I think this is a good question and it's something I'm passionate about. And I'm here to tell you this. I only took a couple MMA fights. I only fought in the cage a couple times. And the reason I did it a couple times is because I think it's necessary to experience that as a jiu-jitsu practitioner and as a martial artist. Like, look what Royce Gracie did for jiu-jitsu. He put his jiu-jitsu up against the world. There's a lot of people that have put their jiu-jitsu up against the world. And what it does is it validates everything you're doing. And if you got into jiu-jitsu at 47 years old and you work with your hands and you're in a place in life where taking a fight makes absolutely no sense, I'm not telling you to take a fight. But if you're 20 years old and you're a blue belt and you are becoming good at jiu-jitsu, I encourage you to go out there and take a fight. I think it's good to understand where your jiu-jitsu is safe and where your jiu-jitsu is not safe. And it will pay dividends for the rest of your life, because there are positions in jiu-jitsu that are great for the sport, but they're not great for self-defense. And I know that there are old school guys like Hickson and some others that are getting fed up with the sport of jiu-jitsu because they think that it's watering down its ability as a self-defense art. And my response to that is just understand and know the difference between where it's self-defense and where it's a game. Because a lot of jiu-jitsu can be a game. A perfect example is if I have someone mounted and they catch quarter guard, which means they bite onto my ankle with their legs. They have no ability to control me. Basically quarter guard is the first step before they get back and rotate their hips to a full half guard. So you don't want them to have quarter guard. But if I'm in a real fight and someone has quarter guard, I'm just going to bludgeon them with elbows. I don't really care. But in jiu-jitsu, if you catch quarter guard, I'll probably roll over your hips and move to your back and then start looking to choke you. So just understand positionally what is beneficial for a fight and what is beneficial for the art and sport of jiu-jitsu. Now, the best piece of advice that I can give you going into an MMA fight is get in nasty, nasty, nasty shape, period. Being in shape is what wins fights. Your striking, your boxing, your Muay Thai, your jiu-jitsu, it's going to be what it's going to be. You put in this many hours, you put in this many years, you're this good at grappling, you're this good at striking. That's not going to change that much over the course of the next 6 weeks or however far out your cage fight is. Obviously, we keep training, we keep sparring. It's good for your timing. It's good for your conditioning. But your capability as a fighter, I don't think it's going to change super dramatically in that short of a period of time. But what you can change is your fitness. Man, my first MMA fight went almost to the end bell, and it was the most exhausted I've ever felt. And afterwards, I told my coach, I was like, bro, I'm fucking out of shape. Like, what's going on? And he laughed at me. This is my first time doing this, right? He laughed at me, and then everybody else in the room, he goes, Greg thinks he's out of shape. And like, everybody had kind of a chuckle because he goes, bro, I'm your coach. I know what kind of shape you're in. You're in phenomenal shape. He goes, feeling exhausted in a fight, it happens in every single fight you'll ever be in. And I was so exhausted that it almost kind of freaked me out because I'm telling you guys, fighting is a different thing. And that's why, like, when you watch guys like Michael Chandler or Frankie Edgar, guys that can just go bell to bell, beat up, bloodied, bludgeoned, and no quit and no stop in them, it's fucking fascinating to me that human beings can do that. Because fighting is literally the hardest fucking thing that you can put your physical body through. And so if you got a fight on the horizon, I'm telling you, make sure you're doing your fucking sprints. Make sure you're doing your fucking assault bike work. Make sure you're doing all those workouts that just push your fucking lungs to the point of exploding, because you want to feel as much of that pain as you can outside of the cage to minimize how much you feel it inside of the cage. Cain Velasquez is a perfect example of this. My friend Boucher trained with Cain from time to time when he was the GOAT inside of the UFC at the time. And he's like, bro, Cain's workouts were fucking insane to watch. And he would do like 30-minute Metcons where it's like assault bike sprints, 1-2 sprawls, and then like suplexing a heavy bag and just fucking turn the dial to 10 and do it for 30 minutes straight. Stuff that most of us would be broken inside of like 3 minutes. That's why Cain was the heavyweight GOAT. It's not because of his wrestling. It's not because of his boxing. All that was good. I'm not saying it's not. You don't get to the UFC heavyweight championship level without having good fundamentals. But what separated him from the rest was that he could set the dial to 10 and fucking go to work. And most human beings couldn't keep up with that. So that's my advice to you, bro. Go out there, get in the nastiest shape you can, and then just let your jiu-jitsu do its thing, let your boxing do its thing, let your Muay Thai do its thing. All right, guys, we're an hour and a half in. That wraps up the Q&A session for this one. The last thing that I'll leave you guys with is it's been a fucking phenomenal journey watching the show grow, watching everybody support it. You know, we are ranked at the top 0.5% of all podcasts globally, which is fucking phenomenal. It's a crazy journey to be on. It's a crazy thing to see. But I appreciate everybody's help getting there because it's not possible without the listeners. So please keep doing what you're doing. Support the show. Share the show. Let your friends and family know. Send them the Crazy Anderson episodes where I'm fucking swearing, losing my mind. People either love or hate that, but it's they'll listen to it, right? I appreciate you guys. And until next time, that's a wrap.